Hi everyone, Jasmine here. So I reviewed Kim Flynn's video, an experienced English teacher in China, also APU alumni, and she shared some insightful strategies for teaching writing skills. And one of the things that she mentioned that really resonated with me was developing engaging writing classes. And one of the techniques that she highlighted was bringing in physical objects to make writing classes more engaging. And she mentioned in the specific context, she mentioned the writing process and the writing process through making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which I have seen. I think that's actually a really popular strategy in classes in terms of practicing writing process. So as a new teacher and incorporating these activities, I imagine that they can be both really exciting, but then also really challenging. So here are some things, some advice, if you will, just to take into consideration if you are thinking about bringing in realia to help make writing classes more engaging. So first, a piece of advice, obviously, start simple. I would begin with a really straightforward and easily manageable activity. So instead of jumping into really complex tasks, I would focus on something that was really basic. So we're introducing the basic writing task that involves a physical object. And then you can gauge students' reaction or response to this in terms of their comfort level of the activity. The next piece of advice is adapting to your context. So it's important, obviously, in any context to understand the dynamics of your classroom. So what is the age group? What's the class size? What are the cultural considerations? And ensure that all the physical activity aligns with the student's interests and the overall learning environment. The next piece of advice is to connect to learning objectives. It's always helpful to do throughout the learning process. So I would align the hands-on activity with specific learning objectives and clearly communicate with students how the activity relates to the writing skills that they're expected to develop. This connection just helps to ensure that the exercise just isn't for fun, that there's a purpose behind the activity. Always, next piece of advice, this is good, just reminder for myself, be flexible. Obviously, when we have this idea of what is going to happen in the classroom, and then you get there, and then obviously nothing goes according to plan. So it's always good to just be flexible, and then obviously ready to adapt the situation with the dynamics of the class. And then, of course, after the activity, it's always great to take time to reflect introspectively, and then, which leads me to my next piece of advice, asking your class for feedback. Did they enjoy the activity? Did they find it helpful? What specific parts of the activity did they enjoy? Which parts did they find challenging? And then from there, you can move forward to improve upon the activity for future classes. And then from there, you can just gradually increase the complexity of the activity depending on all of the aforementioned steps in the process. So I think ultimately the goal is to create an interactive and engaging learning environment. Obviously that sparks students' interest in writing. And as a personal writer, it's great to experiment, always to have an opportunity to experiment with different approaches and tailor them to the unique needs of the students and the teaching context. So that's my advice.